welcome back to English from A to Z. We've got a fantastic deep dive for you today. We're getting into something that sounds simple, but is actually, surprisingly full of detail. We're talking about the future.
Exactly. I mean, how to talk about the future in English.
Right. Whether you're just planning your afternoon or you're thinking, years down the line, getting this right is the secret to sounding really confident and natural.
It really is. That's the challenge, isn't it? So many learners, and it's understandable, they grab onto one structure, usually will, and just use it for everything.
Hmm.
But the thing is, English has all these different ways to talk about the future, and each one adds a different flavor, a different level of nuance. Mastering them just makes your conversation so much richer.
That's our mission today. We're going to unpack the big ones, Will. I'm going to, and really get into why you choose one over the other.
And we have that surprise third one, too.
Yeah, the present continuous. And then we'll finish up with some really great fluency boosting phrases you can start using, well, immediately.
So let's jump in. And let's start with the one everyone thinks they know, but it has a really common hidden use. Let's talk about will.
Okay, so will. We all learn it for predictions, right? Like, it will be sunny tomorrow. Or maybe, I think I will be famous one day.
Yeah.
Just a general belief about what's coming.
Right. It's a pure prediction. There's no real evidence. It's just what you think. But here's where it gets really interesting. The other super common use for will is for spontaneous decisions.
Spontaneous decisions.
Yeah, for things you decide on, right in the moment you're speaking. You hear it all the time.
Okay, can you give us a clear example of that? Because I think that's where people get confused. How do you show, I just thought of this, versus this is my plan all along?
Absolutely. Okay, picture this. You're in a cafe. The barista asks what you want to drink. You hadn't planned it. You didn't think about it on the way there. But in that second, you decide.
You say, I will have a latte, please.
Exactly. I will have a latte. Or say a friend says, oh, I'm a bit cold. You don't have a plan, but you react and decide to help. Here, I will get you a blanket.
Ah, I see.
That will tells the listener that the decision is fresh. It's a new thought, an offer, a promise made right now. If you said, I am going to get you a blanket, it would sound a bit strange.
Like you'd been secretly planning to get them a blanket the whole time.
Right. So will is for that immediate, spontaneous future. It's flexible.
That makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from spontaneous decisions, let's pivot to the complete opposite. Let's talk about intention, about plans. Structure number 2, going to.
The committed one.
Yes. When you use going to, you're really signaling that this isn't a new idea. This is a plan that already exists in your head.
Mm-hmm. There's a strong sense of intention there. You're communicating, I've already decided this.
So if I say, I'm going to visit my family this weekend, that's very different from, I will visit my family this weekend.
Very different. I'm going to visit suggests, I've probably already checked my calendar. I might have even told them I'm coming. The decision is made. It's, locked in.
Whereas I will visit sounds more like a sudden promise, maybe even a bit less certain.
Exactly. It's about the weight of the plan. But going to has another really important job, and this is where the logic comes in.
Good.
We also use it for predictions, but not just any prediction. It's for predictions based on what you can see and hear right now, on immediate evidence.
Oh, I like that distinction. So I'm outside, I look up, the sky is black, the wind is howling. I wouldn't say it will rain. I would say...
You'd say, look at those clouds, it's gonna rain, for sure.
Because I have evidence.
You have the evidence right in front of you. It's not a guess anymore. It's a logical conclusion. Or think about a football game. Your team is winning 5-0 with 1 minute left.
You'd say they are going to win.
Of course. Because based on the current situation, that outcome is almost a certainty.
Okay, that is such a clear way to put it. Will is a belief. Going to is either a prior intention or a conclusion based on present evidence. That's a huge takeaway.
It is. And that idea of certainty brings us perfectly to our third structure. This is
Yeah.
the one that often confuses even more advanced learners.
This is the aha moment, the one that feels a little weird at first, using the present continuous for the future.
It feels wrong, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
we learn I am walking means right now.
Right. But it's so common for future events.
It is. And the difference between this and going to is so subtle but so important. Going to is your internal intention. The present continuous, on the other hand, signals a fixed arrangement, something on a calendar, something confirmed with other people.
So it's about external confirmation. The plan isn't just in my head anymore, it's out in the world, like an appointment or tickets.
Precisely. Let's take an example. If I say, I'm going to meet my friend for coffee, that's my plan. It's my intention.
Okay.
But if I say, I am meeting my friend for coffee at 3 p.m., that sounds much more solid. It implies we've agreed on the time, it's in our diaries, it's a fixed arrangement.
I see. So I am flying to London next Tuesday. Sounds more definite than I'm going to fly to London, because the flight is probably booked.
That's it, exactly. The arrangement is made, the tickets are bought for social plans, travel, appointments. Anything with a schedule, present continuous is often the most natural choice.
That's a great rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the big three covered: spontaneity, intention, and fixed arrangements. Before we get to the fluency phrases, should we quickly touch on that fourth one, the formal one?
Ah, yes.
Shall.
Shall. It sounds a little old-fashioned sometimes.
It can, yeah. It's definitely less common in, say, American English, but it's still very useful for sounding polite and formal. You'll mainly hear it in questions or suggestions.
Like an invitation.
Exactly. Instead of a direct, do you want to leave now? You could soften it to, shall we leave now? Or if you're offering help, shall I carry that for you? It just adds a layer of courtesy. Good to have in your back pocket for more formal situations. Okay, that's the grammar foundation. But real conversation isn't just grammar, is it?
Not at all. It's about expressing how you feel about the future. Are you excited? Are you uncertain? And that's where these fluency boosters come in.
These are the phrases that add the personality. And as we go through them, we really encourage you to say them out loud with us. It's the best way to make them stick.
Definitely.
Okay, first up, what if you're not totally sure? You want to express likelihood. You say, I'll probably. Go on, say it out loud. I'll probably. As in, I'll probably watch a movie tonight.
See how it softens the will? Now, for the opposite, high confidence. For this, you need, I'm sure that, say that one, I'm sure that. For example, I'm sure that you will do great on the test.
Nice. Okay. What about when something is just a possibility? Not a plan, just an idea. For that, you use, I might. Give it a try. I might. Like, I might go for a walk later if the rain stops.
Yeah.
Very low.
And now for the fun ones. Expressing excitement. A future event is confirmed, and you're happy about it. The perfect phrase is, I'm looking forward to. Say it with us. I'm looking forward to, as in, I'm looking forward to my holiday.
Love that one. And to take that excitement to the absolute maximum level, you have to use this one. I can't wait to. This is pure enthusiasm. Try it. I can't wait to. For example, I can't wait to see you next week.
Yeah.
It just has so much more energy.
It really does.
Yeah.
Using these phrases is what makes you sound less like you're reciting from a textbook and more like you're having a real dynamic conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, theory is one thing, but practice is everything. To really get these to stick, you have to start using them right now. Don't overthink it, just speak.
Yep. We're going to give you a couple of prompts. We'll ask a question, and then we'll pause for a few seconds. That's your time to answer out loud.
Ready? Let's start with going to. Remember, this is for a plan you've already made. So think about your next few days. What are you going to do this weekend? Take a moment. Say your answer out loud. Use that going to structure for a plan you have.
Great. Okay, now for the next one. Let's combine will with probably. This is for something you expect to happen, but it's not 100% certain. Think about next year. What's something you'll probably do next year? Think of a likely future event. Say it out loud. What's something you'll probably do?
Fantastic. Just doing that, just saying it once, helps lock it into your active vocabulary.
And of course, we have to finish with a little challenge for you. This one brings a few ideas together. Can you make one single sentence that uses both going to for a definite plan and might for an uncertain possibility?
Ooh, that's a good one. A plan plus a possibility.
Mm.
So, for example, I'm going to finish this report tonight, but I might watch a movie afterwards.
That's a perfect example. Certainty and uncertainty in one thought. Try to make one or two sentences just like that today. I know you can do it. I believe in you.
As we wrap this up, the big takeaway is that practice really does make perfect. And when you're talking about the future, your intention really determines the structure you should choose. So keep playing with them. Will, for those on-the-spot decisions, going to steer your plans and for things you see coming, and the present continuous for those solid calendar arrangements, the more you use them, the more natural it'll all feel.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think about how you do this in your own language. You're constantly signaling how sure you are, how excited you are, how much control you have over what's next. That's all grammar is doing.
That's a great point.
By mastering these few structures in English, you unlock that entire dimension of conversation. You can finally express your hopes, your solid plans, and your doubts. So don't just memorize the rules, think about the feeling behind them. Stay curious, keep practicing, and have fun with it.